Okay. All right. Hello, everybody. We are going to go ahead and get started. I am so excited to see you all this evening. We are going to get started right now. Your session tonight in Ignite is all about keeping those leads. So I know that's something that's really important to everybody, making sure that we've got those leads. You've worked so hard to get them, making sure that we're capturing them, that we're making the best use of them, and making sure that we're doing everything we can to help those folks and convert them into closings and clients for down the road. So I'm going to go ahead and get us started. Here we go. So today's the first day we've got really of the lead follow-up. So this is the third session, the third segment of Ignite. So we've looked at everything leading up to this. We've looked at getting those leads, and now we're really going to focus on our lead follow-up and how we're going to really make sure that you become the real estate expert of choice. We're going to really focus now on the switches that are leading up to where you can make or break your business. So this is the really important part. And this is the part where a lot of agents fall down. They've worked so hard to get the lead, whether it be an open house or whatever lead generation lever you've used. And now we've just got to really focus on turning that into a closing and really helping to build your business. Okay, so we're going to briefly cover the topics of lead follow-up as well, really focusing there on the connections, on the relationships and everything. So as we're doing this, I'm just curious, some of the previous sessions you've done, I'm wondering if there have been any successes anybody has had so far. Any successes anybody wants to share?
I think that I had an open house and a lady was looking, it was a 3 bedroom, 2 bath, and it was a little bit more than what they were wanting to spend because they were a cash buyer. And I
Okay.
continued to follow up with them. And like 3 or 4 months later, when it came on the market, it didn't quite have as many updates as what they wanted. Um, so I was still looking for them, and then they dropped the price by 35,000, and they decided that they were going to take it anyway and
Oh,
do the updates themselves with the 35 that they say.
well, that sounds like a win-win. That sounds great. Awesome. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else have a win recently they want to share? Clifton, it looks like you've come off a mute. Is there a win you wanted to share with us? Nope. Okay. All right. Well, then I'm going to carry on for now. There's going to be more opportunities for everybody to share those too. So we're gonna move along here. So agenda for today, we're going to look at what is lead follow-up, how do we do it, what do we do after that follow-up, recap and get some ahas, and then really focus on that daily success system. One of the things we're really going to focus on is a 19 touch and a 36 touch, so that you have a system in place for exactly how you're going to follow up with all of the people that you're running across. So first, we're really going to focus on what is lead follow-up. So what I want you to do, if you turn to your participant guide, I think it's there on page 10.3. So if you've got it with you, go ahead and turn to 10.3. One of the questions right there at the top is, what is lead follow-up? So for this part, think of the leads you enter in your database, really focus on them as possible business. Lead follow-up helps turn the leads from possible business into probable business, with the end goal being profitable business. Okay, so just want to jot down any notes there, anything that kind of jumps out to you. What in your mind, what do you think is lead follow-up? So I'm going to give you a second just to jot down some ideas, and then we're going to discuss it really quickly. What do you think is lead follow-up? So let's put it from the framework of, you've just received a lead. What do we need to, how do we follow up with that lead? I just want you to jot down a couple notes there, and then we'll discuss it. Okay. All right, let's get the conversation started. So let's just start right off the bat. What do we think is lead follow-up? Looks like you've got one in the chat. By phone or by emails? Absolutely. We can follow up by phone. We can follow up by email. How else can we follow up with somebody? And you can come off of mute, or you can throw it in the chat, or I'm absolutely fine with either. Staying in touch. Very good. Cindy, can you elaborate for us? How could we stay in touch?
By either meeting with them, calling them, emails, text messaging, Any way that works the best way for them.
Homing pigeon, you've got it. Any way we can get a hold of them, we can absolutely follow up. Door knocking, I love it, Tilly. Door knocking puts us face to face again, which is excellent. So visiting them, social media, these are all great ideas. That's awesome. So if any of those kind of made you think twice about how you can follow up with folks, make sure you're jotting those down. But it's so important that we're connecting and we're following up, no matter where we found that lead, whether it's a personal lead or whether it is somebody who we just met, door knocking or at an open house. And I love that you're throwing those ideas out there. That's awesome. So this is a fun one to review. If we look at the life of a lead, if you think about it, and I know this shows that most people are moving every 7 to 10 years. I don't know what the numbers are where you are. I live in Phoenix, Arizona, and out here we're finding it's pretty much 5 to 7 years right now. So that's something you may want to look up in your local market. What is the average time between moves for folks? So 5 to 7 years if you're in Phoenix, Arizona. Nationally, the average is about 7 to 10 years. So if we kind of think about it, the top of the wave there, that's when they're actually doing the move. Okay, so if I've just moved, do you think I am going to be in need of real estate services right after my move? Am I less likely or more likely to need some real estate services?
Less.
If I've just moved, less.
Less.
Okay, I agree with everyone who just said less. Who has enjoyed moving? Who finds it to be fun? Who's like, you know what I want to do this weekend? Buy boxes and pack. Nobody? Nobody.
No.
Yeah, me neither. Absolutely not. So we need to kind of keep that in mind. If we're looking at 5 to 7 years or 7 to 10 years, we also want to make sure though that we're staying in front of those people. So even if they've just had a move, we know that the cycle of the life of a lead here, that probably a few years down the road, they may need to move again. We don't want to wait 5 to 7 years. We don't want to wait 7 to 10 years to reach out to them again. So the challenge we all have is how can we stay in front of them in a way that adds value and they don't click on subscribe or they don't say, "Whoa, no, I'm good." So it's really a question of adding value. And we're going to talk about it a little bit more here in a bit, but I don't feel like we can talk about that enough. Ways that you can find to add value for people. So let's talk about one really quickly right now. If somebody has just moved, does anybody have any ideas here about maybe how they could add value to somebody who just moved? Any thoughts? They're probably not going to move again.
Referral us to any friends or family they know.
Yeah, absolutely. We can stay in touch and just ask if there's any other friends or family they know of that we could help as well. That's great. Thank you. Tilly, I see you have a hand raised as well. Tilly, you can go ahead and come off of mute if you. Oh.
Okay, there we go. Sorry. I would
fine.
say probably providing like newsletters that may have information that, if it's springtime, spring cleaning, or providing vendor update information. So anything that can service them in their new home.
I love that. So I think there's two things there. We're talking about kind of regular maintenance on the home. Hey, just keep in mind, it's about time to get that AC service before the heat turns up, cranks up, and we're 105 degrees. That's just Phoenix. Okay. Anyway, we're about 105 degrees today. So trust me, you want to make sure that AC gets serviced about March or April. So that's one way to reach out. Tilly also mentioned vendors. So it's a great way to reach out and just, hey, I hope the move went really smoothly. How are things going? Just want to let you know, I want to be your resource for all things homes. Is there anybody I could help connect you with? Are you looking for, and you'll probably know this already, whether they're needing anybody for like lawn maintenance? Do they need help with a painter? Do they need an electrician? It's always one of those fun things. Anybody ever, just raise your hand if you've had this. You move into a home and about a week or two later, you're like, oh my gosh, I need to do this, that, and the other. Yeah, me too. So that's a really great way to reach out and touch base with them as well. Okay, and we'll keep thinking of others, but the more ways we can think of to stay in front of our people in our database, and the more ways that we can add value, the more likely we're going to end up getting more business from them, and then the more people we're going to be able to help down the road. So let me just check the chat here. Yeah, sharing home with vendors with them. I love that. plumbers, electricians, home decor. Oh, you guys have great ideas. Share any other info about the community events of the area. I think you're onto something there with the community events, because that's how they can plug into. They've just moved somewhere new, most likely, unless they've just moved down the road, but a great way that they can plug in and really get engaged in their community. I love that. It also cements you as that local expert. So that's an excellent idea. Thank you all for sharing. Okay. All right. So we're going to take a quick look at this. Part of the framework we're looking at here is to try and move from possible business, something that might go towards a sale. Now it's probable, and then it can be profitable. So if we kind of think about the funnel, this is really how it works. A lead as it comes in, it's possible business. We need to nurture that lead. We need to really understand what it is that they're looking for. And that's going to help us move on as the just to make sure that we're helping them with exactly what their needs are, so that it ends up being profitable for us. But most importantly, we're helping them get to where they want to go. Okay. So this quote is from The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, and it is all about mind share. So the concept, and that's what mind share really is, it's this concept of taking up space in people's minds through staying in close emotional proximity to them. That's really what mind share is all about. So emotional proximity is a result of engaging in the touches with your database. So thinking back to the day you learned about lead generation, which is probably just a couple sessions ago, what touches do you think are the strongest when it comes to relationship building? We'll talk about the weakest in a minute, but which ones do you think are the strongest when it comes to relationship building? What do you think?
Face to face.
Oh, I love it. Face to face, number one, top of the list.
Yeah.
Whoever's, oh, go for it. Yep, Wendy Ann.
And open house, people will meet.
I love a good open house because it gives you a chance to be face to face, which is also voice to voice. So really good. So we've said, I want to go to face really quickly. We said face to face, something where you're in person being a great way to connect with people. Let's dive into that a little bit more. What is it about being face to face that allows you that opportunity to really connect and build relationships? What is it about it?
You get a little bit more personal, and it's harder to say no when you're looking at somebody.
Absolutely. They're less likely to just run away, aren't they? So if they're on the phone, bad connection, they can hang up. But if you're face to face, you're probably going to get better engagement. Also, you can look somebody in the eye. That goes a long way. But you also can read facial expressions. You can read body language. You're not going to get the chance to do that if we're on the phone. So yeah, number one, great way to build relationships face to face. What do we think is kind of next best? What are our next couple options? What other strong options do we have?
You got the phone calls.
Yep, I love those too. You can read nonverbal cues. Sorry, just seeing that. Yep, phone call. So now we're voice to voice. I love that. So face to face, voice to voice, because you can hear the inflection, intonation, the volume. Was there a pause? You're getting a lot of information there to read into. What do you think kind of sits between the two of those? So we've got face-to-face, voice-to-voice. What kind of Zoom video? There we go. Thanks, Bobby. Yeah, absolutely. On a Zoom, we can still get that face-to-face, voice-to-voice. One thing that I encourage my agents to do, honestly, after an open house, what I have them do is I encourage them to go find what they think is the strongest, the best room in the house. And then at the end of the open house, what they'll end up doing is they'll go and they'll record a really short video. So for example, it could be as simple as, "Hi, Cindy, it was so great to meet you at today's open house. I'm going to be calling you tomorrow to follow up, but I just wanted to say how great it was to meet you. Look forward to connecting soon. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Any questions in the meantime, please don't hesitate to reach out." Something as short and sweet as that gave you kind of that middle option, right? So we just met them face to face at an open house, but now they've got that short video. They're reminded of the property from the open house because it's behind me and I've already picked the best room in the house. So I'm showing off the best room there is. So just little touches like that can be really helpful. Another great one for that video, and especially for those of you who are on the run and it's all about efficiency, a birthday video Oh my goodness, does that go a long way? For any of you who are on Facebook, you get all the Facebook birthdays there. I have a few agents I know who literally every morning and sometimes they're recording it in the, like, not while driving, please do not do this while driving, but they will record a very short, Doris, happy birthday. Just wanted to say how great it is. Yeah, her face lit up because I told her, happy birthday, Doris. You never know. But just a really short video. If you got that, just think about how that would make you feel. Okay. So that's why we're kind of looking at how we can really stay in front of people in ways that are going to help with relationship building. So I would agree with you. I would say those top three really are face-to-face, a Zoom video kind of in the middle, voice-to-voice is third. Let's look at the flip side of that. What ways do you think would be the weakest ways to build relationship? I'll give you a hint. They're probably also the easiest.
Send the email.
Email, 100%. Raise your hand if you have hundreds of emails in your spam box or in somewhere. Okay, some of you have actually cleared it out to 0. Some of the rest of us are like, oh gosh, no, there's a lot of emails in there. So emails can be effective, but we know they're not the most impactful for relationship building. Good. What's another one that may not be as impactful for relationship building in addition to email?
Texting.
Texting? Ooh, texting's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you get the immediacy of it coming to the phone. But what do we lose out on by texting? Who's ever had a miscommunication by text? Yeah, me too. What do you lose when you get a text versus you hear a you hear a voice or you see a face? What do you lose out on?
Emotion.
Yeah, absolutely. You miss the sarcasm, the emotion, anything like that. So as we're trying to keep in good relationship with our clients, keep that in mind. Okay, good stuff. All right. Any ahas? I'm sure you've seen this slide quite a few times by now in your Ignite journey, but it's really important for us to kind of reflect back occasionally here and just kind of go, wait a second, I need to rethink this. So as I move forward in my real estate career and move forward in my real estate journey, what am I now going to do a little bit differently, or how could I say something differently? So I'll give you a second here to think, and then I'd love to hear anything that's jumped out to you so far. I know the evening is young, but anything that's jumped out to you so far.
Yeah, the little video recording after the open house to say thank you for stopping by. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that one is great. I didn't think about it.
Good. Well, I'm glad that's given you a new idea. And one thing I love about that video after an open house is notice it's non-salesy, it's non-pushy, you're still offering value. It's great to meet you. It's all about connection. And then I'm able to call the next day or later that night even, whatever your follow-up plan entails. And honestly, the sooner the better. But when you follow up with them, then we can get really specific about, they said they were interested in 3-bed, 2-baths in the area, and we can pull that list and we can look for a few good examples. But just that initial touch base, they're going to emotionally feel that you remembered their name. That was important too, right? You remembered their name. It was a personalized message and it takes almost no time. Okay. Videos on the birthday. That's also in the notes there. Video on the birthdays, absolutely. And I'm looking for an easy button for all of you. You've got a way somewhere on social media that it's like so-and-so's birthday today. Well, it just told you who you're going to do touches for. So that video can go a long way. And I almost guarantee you every time you send a video, you're going to get a call, a text, a video back. They're going to thank you in some way for thinking of them. Awesome. Little touches to make people happy. I love it. Those are all really good ones. Any others before we move on? Okay, let's look for ways that we can have those little touches, the birthday videos, the way we make people feel. That's really what they remember. So awesome. Okay, moving right along. So now we are going to look at how to follow up with a lead. We talked a little bit about what it was. We talked about a couple ways here, but let's look at really how we're going to follow up with a lead. Here we go. So the fortune is in the follow-up. You are going to hear that a lot. And sometimes it's not just the first time you follow up with somebody, not just the second time you follow up with somebody. It can take quite a few times. So there's 3 sections here. We're going to focus on the leftmost one initially here. And so the recommended systems for touch campaigns you're first introduced to, I think you've seen this a few days ago in the lead generation segment, but we're really going to focus on these. So with leads, we are really going to focus on a 19 to connect. Okay, so the whole idea behind 19 to connect, this is somebody who's probably higher up in the funnel. And by that, I mean, you may have met them once. It's not somebody who's a close family member or friend. Those are probably more in the contacts column that we'll talk to in a little bit. But on a lead, this is somebody gosh, we're going to talk a little bit more about where you may have found those leads here in a second. So I don't want to give too much away, but you probably aren't as familiar with them. We're just getting to know them. We're just starting to nurture them. So this is a program here and you can adjust it slightly, but what I wouldn't change for the life of it is that number one there, 4 touches with a quarterly phone call. We know we've got so much data, so much in statistics, we know that they need to hear your voice at least once a quarter. So that's really important. We also can look at 12 other touches. Maybe it's a monthly email, maybe it's a newsletter, a market report. I like that there's a video on the option list there. Just as we talked about, we're getting we're getting facial expressions again, we're getting emotion, we're getting intonation, and then maybe a couple touches on promotional direct mail, magnet, I think it says here, calendar, printed market report, something along those lines. And then another touch, the idea being something like an annual event, party, movie screening, or get together. One thing that I just want to say, as you're starting to look at that bottom one that says the one touch, an annual event. The first thing I know when I look at that, I'm like, oh gosh, that's going to be expensive. Raise your hand here if you've been in real estate for less than 6 months. Just 3 of you? Really? No, I'm kidding. Okay, that's quite a few hands going up there. Oh, I get all the hands. I love it. You guys are the best. So quite a few of you have been in real estate for less than 6 months, and I am going to encourage that you find things that are not going to cost you a lot of money here. There are ways that you can do this for absolutely free. There's no reason you couldn't find something that's about giving back to the community, something philanthropic. I know, different charities, you can say, hey, we're going to do our quarterly local charity event at such and such charity, would love to invite you, who would like to come? What's really great about it is it gives you an opportunity to, 1, reach out and invite them, 2, reach out and remind them about it, 3, you can see them at the event. So now we're face to face again. And then 4, you can either post about it on social media, text, call. So you see how we're getting all these different ways of communication in there. When you think about that last touch there, that event, just keep in mind, it does not have to cost you any money. We want to try and get you as many opportunities without you having to spend on those leads as much as possible. Okay. So when you think about a lead getting added to this 19 touch program, when do you think they should get added to your program, to your 19 touch program? When do you think we should be adding them?
Right away.
Right away. I love it.
Yep,
I
ASAP.
love it. ASAP,
Contact,
right
yeah.
away. Good. Yesterday. I'm hearing lots of great answers. So once we've met them, we want to get them, 1, in our database right off the bat. I think you've already been covering that a bit in Command, which is excellent. And I will just say that's another top tip, which you've probably already heard. The sooner you get control of your database and the sooner you get everybody in there, the better it's going to be, because you're going to be able to automate some of that follow-up. So I absolutely love it. So if you look at page 10.4 in your packet there, it actually shows what you've got right here. It's the 19 to connect, and we can drop some notes down there. I want to give you guys just a minute or here, and we can kind of touch base as a group. What ideas do you have? So when we look at like the 4 quarterly phone calls, non-negotiable, keep that in there. When we look at the 12 touches, which ones of those that are listed there, or any other ideas that you have, would you want to incorporate as one of those 12 touch, like a monthly regular touch? Viviana, do you have an answer or do you have a question? Go ahead either way. Oh, pen went down. Okay. Viviana, if the question comes back, just go ahead and unmute yourself and let us know.
I have a question. So I'm trying to get, I have everybody in Command, and I'm
Perfect.
trying to keep track of activity, but it's a little like time consuming. it's almost like you start a conversation, you try to document it, like you have to re-document it. I don't know. And then, okay, now I've got somebody and they're, I'm like, hey, I haven't followed up with you in a long time. Let's stay in touch. It's one of my goals this year, whatever. And we have a whole conversation and I don't want to like put all that back into command, but then am I adding them to a smart plan? And that's what this like 19 touches. And then am I supposed to go and automate those, like set those plans up in there separately? And that's what it's doing. It's always going to use the same data that I set in the smart plan.
Okay, there's so much good stuff in there. So I'm going to start at the beginning. Amy, if I've missed anything, just shout it out and let me know. Okay. So, oh, so much good stuff. So what I'm hearing right off the bat is Amy's putting stuff into command. I want to share with you another shortcut too. If you have the command app on your phone, you can call through the app and that already logs the call. So then all you'd have to go back to do would just be to add notes or updates in there. So that might save you a little step as well. And one other thing that I'll do sometimes is if I'm calling, I'll have command up in front of me. Sometimes I have a headset. So as they're talking, I can type in the notes as they go so that I'm trying to save myself time later. So that's part of it. The next part of Amy's question was really about, is this a smart plan? Is this a task? What is it we're doing with that? So that's kind of up to you. What I would do is add a tag. Have you guys learned tags already in command? I see some nodding, which makes me happy. If not, go back and check some of the previous sessions where some of the tech directors have shared about tagging. I would actually put a tag in there that says 19 touch or 19 to connect, something like that. And they may have their own newsletter, or I might have a newsletter that goes to everybody. So as long as you tag them when you go in there, that's going to save you time later, because this whole idea of the monthly email, you're creating one and it's automated then, right? Or a newsletter, a market report. There's a ton of great smart plans in there, but don't feel like every time you call them, you have to add them to a new smart plan. I would actually have this 19 to connect. And as we talk about in a little bit, when they start to show signs of buying signs or selling signs, and we start to get them closer to conversion, we're probably going to move them over to a contact, in which case then we stop the 19 to connect. But you may still be using the like a monthly email for both. Or neighborhood nurture is a really good, another fun top tip. It's actually a KWRI smart plan. As long as you have added their address into command, you can attach them to like a neighborhood nurture. There's even like a bi-monthly, like every 2 weeks, or you can do it twice a month, or you can do it once a month for like a neighborhood nurture. That is a nice, easy one that keeps it very hyper local for them. It's all about their neighborhood and recent activity. So that's kind of an easier one. Amy, did that help, or did I miss anything?
It helps. It helps. So the 19 them to a smart plan, which is the 19, then it'll tell me like, just a few moments, or this takes a few moments. And then later I can go back to them and I see that they're part of it. But how do I know, how do I know that they're getting it? And then, or that I'm doing it the right way? Because I'm not set up with those.
I always recommend do an example with yourself first. Put your personal email in there and set yourself up. If you're doing a smart plan, if you're doing, or like a newsletter, always try sending it to yourself first before you blast it out to everyone you know. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Some of these are so lengthy, right? Like we're talking about longer term. So when it says like one touch annually, for instance, does that mean at some time in the year, like command's going to prompt me to like a text to touch them? Is that kind of what it's going to do for me?
So yes and no, it can do that if you prompt it in there. The reason it's not just going to magically do it on one day for all of us is it might depend on what you want to do. So closer to Thanksgiving, some people do like a pie event, or they might do like a reverse pie event, have their people come to them at the office, or they'll go drop them off. That could be one of those, the one touch. It could be a philanthropic event. It could be so many different things. And because it could be different for everybody, command doesn't just automatically alert you. You have to create a task for it to alert you.
Okay, got it. Because I find myself, and I'm so sorry I'm asking so many questions, but I really tried to dive into this last week, and I find myself kind of losing track of what's happening. And I'm like, do I add this task for this person? And then I'm like, wait, did I add this task? And sometimes the tasks, they go to the bottom of the list. And so you might see them early in the morning and it's too early and then I got to look again. And I don't know. So it gets a little bit overwhelming to know how much we have available to us.
So
if that
here,
makes any
so
sense.
I will just say this, the questions you're asking, I guarantee you there are other people on the call who have very similar or the same questions. So do not worry about that. What I love is that you're diving into it and you're like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. I'm getting stuck here. I'm getting stuck there, but it shows that you have grit. And that is one of the most important things all of you can have. You're going to hit that in your learning curves where it's like, I'm trying this. I think I got there. So just keep doing the best you can and then keep asking the questions. Once you start to see it pop up, and like you said, it might be different times a day, or it says call somebody. If you're looking at it at 6:30 a.m., you might want to wait a minute. Fair enough. But it at least gives you those prompts and you can start to kind of get to learn this. You and the system can start to kind of work together a little better. So you're on the right track. Just
Okay.
keep it going.
Okay.
Okay.
And then the neighborhood
Neighborhood
snap, I think.
nurture.
Nurture.
Neighborhood
Okay.
nurture. Mhm.
So
Take a look into it.
when we first kind of learned about this, we were with our coach and she said this would be a good way to, have people who said, oh, I'm interested in this neighborhood, send them, sign them up with this. So we tried it on ourselves, but it only does it like once a month. So you don't know when it's going to send it to you. It doesn't automatically send it to you right then. So it waits
Well, you can
until
choose what day you want it to send. So you could just choose that day.
what?
So
Okay.
you could totally, so here's one thing, and okay, so I'm giving you a sneak peek of the 36 to convert. But anyway, if I knew I had a neighborhood nurture going out and I had a monthly newsletter, I don't want them both going out in the first. I want to take full advantage of maybe having one go out in the first. Maybe the neighborhood nurture goes out the first of every month. Maybe my newsletter is the 15th of every month. You can actually plan that in there. So when you're setting any of those smart plans up, you can actually say when you want it to go out. Is it a trigger event, i.e., I set you up, it starts day one, or do I want it to go out a certain day of the month?
Okay. Okay, that's cool. I was worried because in San Diego, we have literally like tiny neighborhoods inside of one zip code and then a bunch of zip codes. And so there's like 200 quote unquote neighborhoods. And if I know that somebody wants, call it Spring Valley or San Diego, let's just use that. There's like 100 in San Diego alone.
Yeah.
And so you kind of have to, like, I didn't want to send them 10 different emails if they're looking in the entire area.
Here's 1,000 homes to choose from. Good luck to you.
Yeah, good
That's
luck.
not a good neighbor. That's not a good email for everyone to get. So, yeah, no, fair enough. Where neighborhood nurture can really thrive though, because you'll put in an address and it'll auto generate the neighborhood. So you can use it in a few different ways. I'm going to move on for right now.
Okay.
Definitely
Yeah.
go back and dig into those smart plans, lean into them. There's some really cool things you can do. So you guys are on
Okay.
the right
Thank
track.
you. Thank you
You
for
are
being
so
patient.
welcome. Totally good. But on that 10.4 section right here, this is in your participant guide. I would jot down some ideas you have for how you want to do it. I would also then get a calendar and literally block it out. My newsletter goes out what day of the month? Maybe it's the first. You decide what works for you and your schedule, but keep in mind now, it's all about the consistency. If I'm sending out a newsletter about everything that's coming out in the neighborhood, for the very beginning of June, I want to make sure the next one's going to hit the very beginning of July. That consistency is important. Okay. Did anybody think of any other ways they could try and stay in contact with leads? Any other ways? We've got the ideas here are the phone calls, monthly emails, newsletters, all those things. Any other ideas you guys can think of for ways you might want to stay in touch with them?
Social media.
Social media. Good.
I
What
set
might
up subscriptions and then follow up occasionally.
Okay, so set like an MLS subscription, follow up. I love that. That's great.
The note cards.
No handwritten notes. I love that too. Very good. These are great ideas. I love it. Good stuff. Okay. Let us move along. So lead follow-up best practices. So just a few things to consider. And if you look at the next page, it's actually got some lines for you guys to jot some stuff down on there. Okay, so what are my strengths when working with people? How can I adapt the touches from of the 19 to connect to represent me? It is important that you make this applicable to you. I know some people absolutely love being, face to face. Sometimes they do pop buys once a month. So instead of a newsletter, they might do something like that. So go ahead and take a second. What are your strengths when you're working with people? Because we want your touch program to lean into that. So go ahead and jot a few ideas down. Who here has anything they want to add about what their strengths are, how they might want to work with, how they might want to adapt this to represent them? So I heard handwritten notes. I actually know Cindy Gregory, so that makes complete sense to me. She's all about personal touches, so I love that. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts on those strengths? And this is on 10.5, by the way. What strengths do you have and how can we use that? Or if you don't know, what strengths do you have and we'll help you with how you can adapt that. Nobody? Anybody?
I like
Anybody?
chit chat.
You do love chit chat. So I would say for you, something where you are face to face or voice to voice. You may end up with more phone calls. Something like that. Okay. All righty, let's look at that next one. What are some of the reasons I might have for contacting the lead? This is probably going to be one of the biggest ones where you're going to hit a stumbling block. Yeah, Alice is definitely a people person too. Good to know. So what are some reasons you may have for contacting the lead? What are some touches to do before and after a phone call? What do you guys think? What are your thoughts?
Most of my leads, I contact them because they're already my customers.
Okay, so you know them from a previous career.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Let's keep thinking. This is what other ways, let's hear from some new voices too. What reasons might you have for reaching out to the lead? And think about how we can come from not just a sales standpoint. How else might we be able, or what other reasons might we have for reaching out to them?
Something that we've said on here before actually made a lot of sense for me, and I'm trying to use it, is just to say, hi, how are you? I'm checking in. Like, I just want to say hello.
Hi, human to human, how are you? Hello, just checking
Yeah.
in. I love that. I love that. It's short, it's sweet. It is very much just coming from curiosity. I love that. I can give you a few here. Oh, tell them about upcoming community events. Yes, please. Community events, absolutely.
I've reached out to them at open house, like say if they went to see a house and they like the house, but they say it's priced too high, and then if it has a price reduction, I'll reach out to them and let them know that the price is reduced and to see if they'd like to go view it again.
I love that. Good. So you're keeping in touch very specifically with something that was interesting to them or that they really like the house. I love that. That's great. I'm going to give you a couple more ideas too, and then I'll see if any of you have any more you want to share. Certain times of the year, I know right before the holidays at the end of the year, I will use that as an opportunity to touch base. And I'm just like, I'm updating my card list. Can I just verify you're still at 123 Main Street? While I've got you here, is your email still Nikki Griffin at nikkigriffin.com? Absolutely, whatever it is. So it's a great way to kind of verify information, add anything there. Awesome. I love that. Other reasons we may reach out to them. I think some of the ideas you guys threw out before about vendor referrals, that can be a great one too. New grand openings in the area, different things that they like. I love it. These are good. Okay, next question. How am I using conversations to let the person know I'm in real estate, how to contact me, and how to refer business to me? Raise your hand if you struggle with asking for referrals. All right, I'm seeing some hands go up. No? Oh, I saw a no. I had a couple of yeses. All right, who here is masterful at asking for referrals? We want your secrets. David, I saw you shake your head. Tell us about your referral strategies. We're here for it.
Hey, just anytime that I'm talking to them, I'm just like, hey, I'm in real estate, so if you know someone who's trying to purchase a home, I'll definitely be a good resource for them. I would love to be a resource for them. So, I'm always just asking. You got to always ask,
I love that dialogue, and I love about being a resource for them. That's great. So take notes, jot down what David just said. Think about how you can make that work for you. But yeah, the referral business is definitely there. And sometimes we have to remind folks. We have to remind them. One example, we were doing some Ford calls. We were doing some lead generation with some of my agents, and one of the guys in our group ended up calling his wife. And he's like, I'm just gonna call her. She had a cousin that not told him that was about to move, and he's like, what? We didn't talk. She didn't think about it. It wasn't top of mind to refer it. So don't let that happen to you. Talk to your people. Make sure that they know you want to take really good care of their friends, their family, things like that. So that's awesome. Let's go back again. How am I using conversations to let them know I'm in real estate? How have we tackled that? Who's got some secrets to success there? Who here is a good way that they found to use conversation to let people know that they're in real estate and how to contact you? What thoughts do we have there?
Social posts,
What was that? I'm so sorry. Can you say that again, Lorena?
social media posts.
Social media post. I love that. So that could be, can you give me, I'm sorry, I'm going to dig a little deeper. Can you give me a little example of that? What might you do on social media?
I'll do like a little short ad, like looking to downsize, something like that.
Okay.
If you're looking for a home in the East Valley, contact me. Just different, whatever, 55 plus community. Just pick a target area and just put a little short blurb out there.
Mm-hmm. I love that. The only thing I would encourage us to look at too, though, is where we can get the two-way conversation going. So if there's some hook there, you know, where you're getting them to answer a question back, I like a good old forward call, and that, you know, it's one of the things in there is occupation, right? FO, so family, occupation. And if you ask somebody, you know, oh, how's work going for you? Rule of reciprocity usually kicks in, and they'll ask that back. It's a very natural and organic way for that to come up in conversation. The only thing I would encourage you, do not just go, oh my gosh, I'm so busy, because people do not want to refer to people who they think are super busy. Okay, so I would just encourage you not to say that. All right, let's look at this next one. When is it best for me and my business to time block for lead follow-up? Ooh, that is a good question. Oh, Katie had a hand up. Katie, did you have an answer for the last one or for this one? Either way, Katie, the floor is yours.
I actually had one for the last one.
Okay, go for it.
It's kind of a two-part. So the first one is I'm still really new. I have not completely sold a house yet, but I do have my family and all of my close circle friends on board for when I do celebrate.
I
They're
love that.
going to be throwing me a little party. Actually, it's going to be a big party where a lot of people are going to be invited. So
Heck
I'm
yeah,
hoping
I
that
love
will
it.
help.
Yeah.
And then also using kind of the same technique for when I do actually sell my first home, I would like to throw a little get together for my clientele as well for their friends and family.
That is such a good idea. I love that, because it kind of puts you right in there with them too, doesn't it? That's great. That's awesome. That is awesome. Anybody else had anything they want to add on that one? And then I'll jump down to the time blocking. Thank you for adding that in, Katie. That's awesome. Anything else? I'm going to share one more idea that just kind of came to mind, and I've had some of my newer agents do this as well. I actually had them record, and I'm talking short. We're talking like 30 seconds, 40 seconds. And if they were at the very beginning, and we want you to get as comfortable as David is in asking for referrals, right? That's the goal, David. You're the goal there. But we want to make sure that you are asking for them. So I had them create these 30-second videos that was just introducing themselves, the areas that they worked in. You know, I specialize in new construction and first-time home buyer, whatever the case is for you. Would love to connect and answer any questions you may have. I can be reached at 123-4567, and you know, that kind of a thing. And I had them send that video to some of their friends and family. And what they did is they said, hey, I need your help. I'm super excited about my new career in real estate. And if you know of anybody who's looking to buy or sell, can you please forward this on to them? Something as simple as that can also be a way that they're thinking of you. They share the video out. And then obviously we want to ask for the contact information back as well, so we can do a direct follow-up. But there's just so many ways you can get creative here. So lead follow-up, you can get real creative with this. You can have fun with it. Okay, moving on. When is it best for me and my business to time block for lead follow-up? Thoughts in the room. What do we think? Yeah, 1 DM. Oh, you've unmuted yourself. If you have something you want to share, go for it. Oh, that may have been an accidental unmuting. Okay, anybody else? Any ideas here? When do you think is best for you and your business to time block for lead follow-up? What do you think?
I always think, and maybe I'm not right, but I always think on a Saturday around 11 a.m., then that way it's not too early. Maybe they're not out and about yet.
Okay. What's also good to do around 11 a.m. on a Saturday?
Have lunch.
Yes,
I
okay,
say-
that can be fun. Any other thoughts too? Let's keep adding to the list of what else is fun to do 11 a.m. on a Saturday. I was thinking open houses, but lunch
Open
is-
houses.
Yeah, okay, good.
I said sleep.
Sleep, okay. Well, you know what?
Don't
I
call
think
me.
okay, we're not calling Doris 11 a.m. on a Saturday. Note to selves, okay? All I'm trying to say here is you are each going to have a different answer to this. Your lifestyles are different. Some of us are sleeping 11, some are holding open houses, some are conquering the world. You're going to find what works for you, and you're going to find what works for the people you're working with. Whenever I do an open house, I am looking to 2 bird 1 stone this. So I'm going to work my tail off to have the busiest open house possible, but I'd like to have something to do in case there's downtime so that I can still be proactive in my time. So that might be something I'm looking at. Time blocking for lead follow-up. The important thing is that you put it in your calendar and you follow it. You block that time out. I would think about when they're available. So to that point of 11 a.m. Saturday, most people are available then. If you're looking at 9 a.m. first thing on a Monday, you need to think about who you're calling. What is their schedule going to be? So I have to see some of you like big nose, shaking the head no. So think about when works for you and when the people that you're reaching out to are most likely to be available. Okay. Last one. How much time should it take to reach out to a lead? What will I do to hold myself accountable? Oh, I love that accountability word. And what do I need to do to make sure this happens? Let's talk about it. How much time should it take to reach out to a lead? What do we think?
Immediately before someone else does.
Oh, I love it. Immediately. Yes, absolutely. Immediately is great to follow up with them. How frequently should we follow up with them then? Ooh, what does that lead follow-up program look like?
At least once a month.
Oh, much more. But yes, once a month. We definitely want to do once a month. We want to kind of do more than that. I think it also depends how recently you met the lead, how you met them, those sorts of things too. Okay. All right. Any other questions, thoughts, concerns, cries of outrage on this part? No? None? Okay. Then we're going to move on. All right. So this actually gives you a few more ideas here to design that 19 to connect touch plan. And again, think about the conversation we had earlier about face-to-face, Zoom, voice-to-voice, being 3 of those strongest ones there. Notice that you're getting your voice-to-voice here. Down here, you're getting face-to-face. And then we do have snail mail, email, text, those different things here. So here's just a few different ideas. What I like though is that there's no $sign on the top row of calls, text. I mean, phone access, but above and beyond that, that is a great way to connect, and it's a low cost way to connect as well. Okay, so now that you kind of had a chance to think about this, I'd go ahead and jot some notes down because we're about to move on to your 36 here in a moment, but I just kind of want you to think about these are the people you don't know quite as well. What can you do to stay in front of them? Okay, I'll give you a second here just to write down some more ideas, and then we are going to move swiftly along. Okay. Alrighty. Good stuff. Okay, here we go. All right, we are going to really focus, and I know we've been talking about this all evening as well. But now that we've generated the lead, we've captured their information. We want to make sure that we're talking to them, following up. If you've not heard back and you don't know much about the person, then communication will be broader. It will probably focus on a range of values. Okay, so this is where you'll communicate your value with your own value proposition. And I believe it was day 3 or 4 of Ignite that you looked at your own value proposition. If you weren't in that session, I highly recommend going back and going through all the previous sessions, because there's so many great things there. Your personal value prop is going to be huge. It's what sets you apart from all the other agents. Okay. So as you engage with leads, as you help uncover how to serve them better, and, you know, kind of learning what they're interested in, you're going to segment them into more specific groups. Okay. So our communication is more detailed. It's more value-based. So let's talk really quickly about your value propositions. I know for most of us, this should just be a quick review. What's your value proposition center around? Or if you're not sure, throw out a question. What is your personal value proposition centered around? Any thoughts here?
Well, we keep hearing contribution.
That might be a
So-
big one. So leading with contribution too. Okay. So your value proposition, I think that was Amy, is focused around contribution.
Yeah,
Anything-
like how I can serve them.
Sure.
What are the different tools that I'm using, or marketing techniques, or, you know, personally, the community involvement is what I'm trying to gear towards. So inviting them to things, and that, like, having them be aware that I'm going to invite them to things.
Mm-hmm. Good. I see Alice OL says, "This is a pass note. Stalk neighbors passing by my house talking about the neighborhood 11." Oh, that was her 11 a.m. Saturday. Awesome. Okay, got it. Sorry, that was a pass note. Anything else for value prop? Anything else that you want to share in value prop? Any other thoughts? Is anybody here super technically savvy? Or is there anything, if you were super technically savvy, how could you incorporate that into your value prop? What do you think you could do? Are you doing video walkthrough tours? Are you doing, I mean, think about those different things. Think about how you are going to really set yourself apart. Let's see, helping everyone that needs it, moving, packing, setting. Oh, there you go. Are you the agent that helps them move? The agent who helps them pack? Shows up with boxes and pizza on moving day? Different things that you can do there. So there's a lot of different ideas. Community garden, I love that too. These are some fun ideas. Okay, personal communication, focusing on value, personal communication. If we kind of look beyond the who when we're contacting a lead, the most basic way to start doing this is to kind of craft your message based on the source the lead was generated from. So that might be a way to kind of help you out there too. For example, if the lead came through in a social media post about a first-time home buyer, sending them an investment property newsletter might not be the most relevant for their situation. So I think we heard an example earlier, Lorena, I think it was you, who was talking about somebody you'd shown properties to, and then the price dropped down later on, and then you were able to get back in touch with them and say, hey, just wanted to make sure you were aware this property you were interested in now has had a price adjustment. Is this when would you like to go see it again? Or, something like a soft close like that, closing statement in there, just to kind of propel them forward. So some sort of personal communication, reaching out specifically in relation to how you met them, that could be helpful there too. Okay. Good stuff. Statistics and data. Some people, I think you guys have already talked about the DISC test as well. So your high C's on a DISC, they are going to be all about their stats and their data. So sometimes that can be really helpful. How can we use data to help buyers? How can we use data to help buyers know what they either need to go in at, or what average days on market is normal? What can we do to help sellers better price their home so it's going to sell more quickly and for higher that's where all of these are coming in from. These are different ways you can focus on and add value. So just kind of think about what really aligns with you and how you're going to follow up with your folks. Okay, so potential lead sources, there are so many. This is just a small smattering here. So there is actually a part here in your participation guide. So if you turn over to lead follow-up. I think it is. Nope. Yeah, I think it's right there on 10.7. So lead follow-up and communication. Different ways that people can call in, either a community event, you met them in an open house, social media marketing, traditional marketing, agent website, calls out. So we're looking here at different statements or questions. Here's just a couple examples. Why are you thinking of buying or selling? Tell me more. What will you do for you, or what will that do for you and your family? There are a lot of great ways that you can follow up and try and learn a little bit more about them. I also just kind of want to point this out there, and I'm sure you've heard this before. People buy their whys, not their whats. Have you heard that before? I would jot this one down if you haven't. People buy their why, not their what. A what is a 3-bed, 2-bath, and it has a yard. So if you're just coming in saying, oh, you're looking for 3-bed, 2-bath, and a yard, that's great, but that is a what. If I understand the why, I'm going to be able to better help them. So, I hear that you're interested, in a 3-bedroom home. Can you tell me more about that? And all of a sudden the why is, oh, I need to be able to work from home. Okay, does that need to be a bedroom, or could that be a den or an office? So now I might be looking for a 2-bed plus that has a den or an office, or a 3-bed. It just opened up what I'm looking for. Oh, I hear that the yard is important to you. Can you tell me more about that? Yes, I'd love to get a dog, and I want to make sure the dog has room to run. Now we're getting a feel for how much space we need. So just kind of keep in mind as you're following up, the more you can ask questions and the better questions you ask, the more you're going to get that detail and be able to help them. Okay, good stuff. Any thoughts, questions, ahas at this point? Anything that's jumping out to you guys? I know we're just hitting 7 o'clock, so everybody's awake and alert, and I'm loving it. So any ahas from any of the things on here about follow-up and the communication? Any types of questions we can ask? Let's just go for one takeaway. What's one thing that we think that's been helpful in kind of reviewing this, that's going to help us move forward?
Purchase leads. Are they really, is that almost seems like kind of a soft scam to me.
You said purchase leads. Well, that's a whole nother class on its own, to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. There's so many different types of lead generation levers. Like there's the pay-per-click, the PPC. There's so many things. One thing I would encourage you to do is go into Connect. If you type in playbooks, oh my gosh, if you haven't seen this yet, there are so many different playbooks that KW has put out there. So for each, I remember, oh gosh, it was Mega Agent Camp 2023. Day 1. I know it's getting really particular, but if you go back to the playbooks from Mega Agent Camp 2023, day 1, they had all these different panels up on stage, and each panel was a different lead generation lever. And each agent that was up on that panel up on stage created a 1-pager. So what's beautiful, and those are the playbooks, the 1-pagers. What's beautiful about it is you're getting agents, top of their game across the country, sharing, here is my play, boom, 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 for each thing that they do. So I do know there are a couple for pay-per-clicks and other different types of lead gen levers. I would say talk to your productivity coach and really try and find what are the best lead gen levers for you. I will say for some of those, you're looking at conversion rates. What is the quality in converting? What is your game plan in converting? And based on that, your productivity coach might point you, in a couple different directions where they think might be the best starting point for you. So honestly, that's a great question, but that is a whole nother class on its own. Alice, I see a note in here about love finding the why. Good. That's a really good takeaway. The people buy their whys, not their whats. So the more we can understand their why, the better that we can help them. So awesome. Thank you all there. All righty. Let's see what we have here. So lead follow-up. Oop, we just covered that one. Sorry, that's a duplicate. Ahas, we just did those. Any other ahas anybody wants to add to it? Nope. Going once, going twice. All right, ahas are gone. So moving swiftly along. Now we're going to talk more about post-lead follow-up. And you may have seen this image before. So in two-way communication is established, the lead becomes a contact in your database. So initially, and that might be if they came through as an internet lead or through social media, maybe you've not spoken yet, there have been some messages going back and forth, they've been a lead. As soon as we have that two-way communication, now they become a contact. So now we're going to move them from a 19 touch to a 36 to convert. There are some agents out there who are like 36 is a great start, but I'm doing a 48 or I'm doing a 60, or they're just doing even more and more and more. So there's a lot of different things that you can do to look at here. I also want us to kind of think about 19, they're hearing from us about twice a month. 36, they're actually hearing from us. What is that? 36 divided by 12. They're hearing from us 3 times a month. They're at the minimum. And then we're going to cement the relationship. So what's really important about them hearing from us every, 3 times a month on average is they're hearing from us. That gives us an average of about every 10 days or so. Has anybody here heard of a reticular activator? Anybody? So your reticular activator is what helps your brain gets all this information coming in, and your reticular activator helps you filter out what's important, and so you know what to focus on. Has anybody ever gone to buy a car before, and the exact car you're thinking of buying, the exact color of car that you're thinking of buying, all of a sudden you see them everywhere? Doesn't mean that they suddenly are now everywhere on the road. It just means your reticular activator switched on to it, and that's what you're thinking of. So you see them more often. If you are staying in front of people on average here 36 times a year or once every 10 days or so, that's actually going to keep you in the reticular activator. It's going to keep you front of mind. Same reason if I were to ask you, what's the name of your second grade math teacher? You're going to be like, oh gosh, some of you might remember, but some of you are trying to think back and you're like, you can maybe describe the teacher, but think about it. When you were in that class, your reticular activator was switched on. You were there every day. You knew their name without fail. But down the road, because we're not having to recall that information as quickly, it's not top of mind. That's a very long story to say. We want to do the best we can to stay top of mind for our clients and for our people that are in our database. Okay, so we're going to really focus now. We had the lead. Now we want to cement the relationship. So to cement it, we want a high value touch that solidifies the relationship you've just established, opens the door for future interactions. What do you think might be important? What do you think that means? How might we cement it? What might be important? What might help us cement the relationship? What do we think? What kinds of, we've talked about a lot of different ways that we can reach out to people.
An honest conversation.
A conversation. It could be going out to coffee with them. It could be spending quality time together. It could be, I would want something personally that's face to face, so if somebody's reached out, one way we might be able to really cement that, kind of solidifies the relationship. Another thing you could do is invite them into the office for a consultation. There's like so many different things you can do there, but we want to find a way to really connect with them. That might be through a video, that might be on a phone call. So that couple different options there, but really think about what can we do to cement that. They've gone from a lead. Now we're in the process of converting them over to a contact. How can we cement that and give them a high value there? Okay. So I know it's asking for an aha, but I'm going to put it back to the cement slide just so you can see that. Any ahas you have about needing to cement the relationship? Any thoughts you have there?
You're basically working on a friendship with your customer.
Yeah, we're really trying to establish a relationship, a friendship maybe. Yeah. And that's something
that will give you future business through them.
Mm-hmm.
They'll think of you because they think of you kindly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sending birthday gift. I don't know, sending gift card or something.
So like, I love the idea of like a birthday card or something like that. I know somebody who, when they were talking to people in their database, whenever they were talking to them, they would always get information. They knew the information of all the pets. They knew the dog's name, they knew the cat's name, they knew the children's name, they knew the kid's name, they knew the kids' birthdays. They would send birthday cards to the kids. There's just think about things there that really kind of embed the relationship and make it kind of special to them. Okay. All right. Going to move us Swifty along. So thinking back on everything we've covered here, we're about to move to the next section. I'm actually doing kind of 2 classes in one tonight. So everything we've talked about so far, what has stood out to you so far in the things that we've covered tonight? Maybe just take a second, look back on your notes, and we can throw it in the chat or we can talk about it really quickly. But what thoughts have you had so far about ahas, or, you know, any achievements, any ways your thinking has changed, anything you feel differently about, anything that you're like, oh, I really need to do that? Any thoughts?
I like that people buy their why, not their what.
Good. And that should hopefully just trigger us to ask even more questions. I love it. Thank you for that.
Yeah, me too, actually.
Good. Good. Yeah, and it's true. They buy their whys, not their whats. Just the same way as when you're purchasing a home, it's usually, we use the word home. It's more of an emotional purchase usually. And then when they sell a purchase, sometimes it's a little bit more business, and now it's a property. So we buy a home, we sell a property. That's another one to kind of think about there too, from an idea of where their mindset might be. Okay. Any other ahas that anyone wanted to share?
To cultivate a relationship past the sale of the house or the purchase of the house.
Good. And that's literally how you create a relational business, not a transactional business. Transactional business, oh my gosh, you are looking for people all the time. Relational business is, I'm going to help them buy this home and the next home and their family members' homes. You are going to be there to support them through all of that. Okay, I love it. All righty, success system. This is the success system. It is a really great checklist for you to kind of focus on. And I would think about every day, am I having 10 conversations? Am I adding 10 contacts to command to my database? 10 handwritten notes. I love that. 10-5-1 social media engagement. So the whole 10-5-1 model. Any ideas what that's all about? 10-5-1 thoughts? 10 likes, 5
10
comments.
likes, 5
Yeah.
comments, and 1 direct message, basically.
Absolutely.
10
Absolutely.
interactions.
What was that? Sorry.
It wasn't 10 interactions.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Okay.
Yep. There you go. Enrichments, appointments. Ideally, we're looking for those appointments, the agreements, and the closings. So the buyer broker, or whatever the equivalent name of the forms are in your state. For us, it's the exclusive right to list. But yeah, these are the activities, these ones here, the top 5. Those activities are going to get you more appointments, going to get you more agreements, and going to get you more closings. Okay, so it's really important as we're kind of going day to day. I sometimes will hear agents say, like, I don't know what to do. Well, that's your to-do list. That literally is that number 1 to-do list. It keeps you in your 20% of your activities. Okay, I know you've looked at Pareto principle before, your 80-20 rule. This is your 20%. Having real estate conversations, adding contacts to your database, and finding ways to reach out and having more and more contacts altogether. Okay, so let us move on to the next one. So just a reminder, as you're reaching out to people, we need to do everything in a TCPA friendly and compliant way. You must. We do not want you to get fined. We do not want you to get in trouble. So we must be doing this in a TCPA friendly and compliant way. Even when I'm reaching out to Sphere or people, if I met them at an open house, they gave me their contact info, but that does not give me permission to call out to them till forever. So I'm always, when I talk to them, is it okay if I follow up with you in, a month or 2? I'm always getting their permission to continue reaching out. So that's kind of really important. And if you want to know a lot of reasons about absolutely why you should make sure you're complying with the TCPA, all of the things on here, it's got all the fines there. So just make sure you're doing what you need to be doing. Okay. Cool beans. All right. So I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationship with me. If you are struggling and you need to get your mindset right before you make calls, this is a really great way to do it. So kind of a really good way to kind of remind yourself you're engaging the conversation. It's in the spirit of contribution. People are happy to be in relationship with me. I love it. Okay. Sorry, a couple more people from the waiting room. All right. We are not going to do the full 20 minutes on the role play right now, but I want you to kind of keep in mind as you're doing follow-up with people, it's just about connecting. It's just about adding from contribution. Okay. And before you do those calls, obviously it's probably a little late to be calling folks right now, making sure you have that contact list ready to go, or you've got command open in front of you, ready to go. Okay. So updating your contacts, it is so important if you're not doing it while you talk to them, that afterwards you have time allocated in your time blocking to follow up with those folks. And we need to celebrate the successes that you've had. Okay. Make sure you're celebrating your successes. Make sure you're sharing them with your PC coach, your PC group, whoever system you guys have in place. It is so, so important. Okay. So I know you know the success system. Command, making sure that you are in command. You're going to be in command daily. It is our lifeblood in this industry. Also keep in mind, connect. So you can kind of see it in that corner there. You've got command, and right next to it on that top row, it says connect. That's where all of the training videos and training based things, KW, this is where they all live. Okay. So we're going to kind of bridge now into the next session. That is all about, here it is, following up with leads even more so. So we were just talking about how we need to nurture those leads, how we're going to put them into a 36 touch program, our 19 to convert program. And now we're just going to kind of continue that on. So we're going to keep following up. We are going to really talk about how we convert those leads into appointments, improve our conversion rates, and really connect back to that daily success system. Okay, so let's get ourselves started with the lead conversion. So the effort you give to converting leads must match the effort you give to generating them. Has anybody done an open house and they're like, that was amazing, I got 5 leads, and then they just fall off and we forget to follow up? Okay, you worked so hard to get that lead. We want to make sure that you are keeping them and that you are converting them. So we've talked a little bit, we've seen a similar model to this one, but this has actually come from the Shift book, all about capturing them. We want to connect with them, cultivate them more, and then we want to actually make sure that we are getting them converted. So when the conversion step doesn't result in an appointment, let's look at that one for a second. When the conversion step here doesn't turn into an appointment, what do you think has gone wrong? So we had a lead, we started a two-way conversation, we set an appointment. What do you think is going wrong if we don't convert them in the appointment? What do you think the issue could be? So we've got them in an appointment. Let's use a buyer for an example.
You didn't show your value.
That could be it.
Maybe
our value wasn't clearly enough to find. That could absolutely be it. That's a very big one. I like that. What else do we think could be it? We didn't show. That's probably the main one, to be fair. Go ahead.
I'm finding that a lot of the people who are interested and are willing to make appointments with me are not necessarily qualified yet. So I've decided to try and maybe offer like helping them organize their goals, like a 1-3-5 thing, and be accountable, like help them be their accountability partner. I don't know if it's going to work, but I imagine in 5 or 10 years, maybe I'll have some good leads from them. So we'll see how it goes.
I love the thought process there. I love the thinking on that one. We had an agent in my program who I was like, having them call, we were doing the Ford calls and they were calling everybody. This guy literally did call his freshman year math teacher. I know I joked earlier about who remembers their second grade math teacher's name, but he literally called his freshman year math teacher, and calling the math teacher is like, you know what, I've been trying to, it was so funny. He's like, I'm not looking to buy or sell right now, but you know what, I've been trying to lose a little bit of weight, and it's just catching up on life. And the agent literally, kind of to your point, it became a totally different situation, but it became an accountability partner, was like, you know what? Me too, man. And so they actually excited. They agreed to kind of be accountability partners for each other. They agreed to follow up every few weeks. What ended up happening about 4 or 5 months later, it was just planting the seeds, reconnecting the relationship, or redefining the relationship rather. And they ended up referring multiple people. So I think the more that you can add value in different ways is fine. The more chances that you're going to have to connect and convert. But that's a really good point. They may not be qualified right now, but what I think you said the word yet. They're not qualified yet. So I think that's great mindset as well. That's excellent. What else do you think? So not adding value is said. They may not be ready. Any other reason we can look at maybe that things aren't converting?
Not having the right conversations.
Ooh, I like that. And it probably boils down to not having the right questions asked. Not really understanding their why or their situation or their circumstances. Okay. Really good answers there. I love it. Anything else anyone wants to add? No? Okay. Here we go. So again, we're looking at where's the possible business, turning it into the probable business, and then turning it into the profitable business. Okay. So now that we have the how, we're going to dig a little bit more into the why. Does anybody have a new aha? Anything that's jumped out? I would say on this part is probably where you're going to have biggest opportunities here. What's our takeaway? What's our aha in this section? Because I will say, if we get to the point where we've got the appointment and we're not converting them, we've talked about
Showing
reasons.
value.
Yeah.
Showing value. So it might need to be, I need to figure out how I can better explain my value, how I can better demonstrate my value. That's a good takeaway. What else might we need to reflect on and do to make sure that this flows a lot more?
Better conversations or like more leading conversations at the open house, because I did get a lot of people turn me down. Basically, they're willing to sign in for me, but so the couple that did, I need to do more to follow up with them in a meaningful way.
Got it.
I have a lot of people that will provide. I have a lot of people that will provide their phone number. I mean, their email address, but not their phone number. And they even say that they would like to be set up on a subscription, but then it never shows they open them.
Oh. Do you check the email with them right there and then just to double check it is, and then I read it back to make sure I have got everything typed in correctly? If they give any other.
Sometimes I'm thinking maybe they're one of those people that just don't really check their email that much.
That could be it too. You may have ended up in the spam folder. I like if I can get an email and a phone number, I can even call or text and just say, and anytime I send an email, I tend to text as well. To me, it just really helps to make sure they've got the information. So if I've sent an email, I even do this with clients when we are active in transactions. Just letting you know, you'll find blah, blah, blah in your email. Please review, and I'll touch base to see if, later this afternoon to see if you have questions or something along those lines. So if you're able to grab a phone number as well, that can be really helpful. Okay. Alrighty, let us move along. All right, how to convert a lead to an appointment. Okay, so capturing is defined as collecting the minimum amount of valid, we just talked about that, minimum amount of valid contact information for a potential buyer or seller. And I want as much info as I can get. I want an address, I want a phone number, and I do want an email. So when we're capturing that information, the more we have there, the better. Any thoughts here? Any thoughts really quickly? So open house lead capture form, you might want to think about that if we're trying to capture a certain amount of information, making sure that your open house form has all of these different questions on it, and we're trying to get that. I always at an open house have to make sure that that value is clear. And generally when we've had a conversation, I know what their timeline is, kind of LT Mama, if you've learned that one already. It's location, timeline, motivation. We're talking about agency, money, and then the appointment right there at the end. But basically, if I've talk to them a bit. I understand what they're looking for. I can share with them more information about the area or properties that may be coming up. Usually they're willing to share all that contact information if they hadn't already. And then you have to make sure that you're definitely following up. If you promise you're going to follow up, you've got to make sure you promise you get that back to them as quickly as possible. Okay. So we want to capture that information as quickly as we can. Conversation framework. So number one, if I were to need to contact you, what would that number be? That's a good one. If I found exactly what you're looking for, how would I contact you? And I'd even just say, what's the best number to reach you on? Something like that. If I found out that information you are wanting, how would I get it to you? Those are great questions. Then you can adapt those for different types of lead generation models as well. Okay, so especially I'm thinking the open houses, we were just talking about open houses. So for number two, let's say they're looking for a certain price point, they want a certain specification. You know what, as I'm looking, you know, when I run across those properties, what's the best email for me to send that to, or what's the best number for me to call you on to set that follow-up appointment? Okay, those are great. Those are great questions on the capture side. All right, let us move on. So connection best practices, embed your value proposition in the conversation, role play and practice conversations. How often do we need to role play? Uh-oh. How often do we need to role play? We know the answer. We don't like the answer. How often do we need to role play?
All the time.
Every day.
Yes, every day. We do need to have role play every day. For every day. Oh, good. I'm seeing it in the chat there too. Thank you, Katie. If nothing else, we want to practice with our, it could be your accountability partner, it could be your PC coach, could be other PCs, other agents in the market center. With the more that we practice with each other, if we're going to fall down, I want it to be here, not out when you're out with the client. So let's give yourself the best chance to be as practice. What is that saying? Amateurs practice to get it right. Professionals practice to never get it wrong. Think about it. Think about Michael Jordan. You got one of the best basketball players in the world. He practiced every single day, you know, so it's not that he didn't know how to dribble anymore and he had to learn how to, like, we keep the practicing. It keeps us sharp. So that's why we've got to have that role play in there. Okay. Also know the outcome you want from the conversation before starting. Ooh, that is a good one. Use questions to lead the conversation. Who can give me an example of what's an outcome you might want from a conversation before starting it? Let's say I was calling, I don't want to lead you too much there. What's an example somebody might have for knowing what outcome you want before you start a conversation?
An appointment.
Yeah,
a lead.
absolutely.
Yeah.
My goal is to set an appointment. Absolutely. Or to qualify the lead. To make sure, I mean, if they're saying I'm looking to buy 2 years from now, I don't know that I need to rush to set a, you know, an appointment. You know, we can agree a follow-up plan, but if somebody, you know, I'm ready, they're showing those signs and then we want to move on, then I definitely would set that appointment. Very good. Okay. So I'd always kind of think about the end in mind. What is it we're trying to get, you know, for a successful conversation there? Okay. 6 good connecting questions. Who are they? What do they want to need or do? Or what do they want or need to do? Where do they want to be or need to do it? Why are they trying? So I'm hearing location-based questions in here. Why do they want to need or do it? When do they want? So that's their timeline. And then how do they plan to do it? That can be a really good question. We don't want to make any assumptions. Sometimes asking them, I like the magic wand question. If you wave a magic wand and this move went exactly the way you wanted it to, what would that look like? That's a good way to kind of get a feel for number 6. How do they plan to do it? Because they're going to kind of create and tell you exactly what that would be step by step along the way. Okay, so let us move on. So cultivate. You can't know or predict when they will come to a decision, but if you're reconnecting with them in a systematic way, you'll have a great chance of being there when they do. That's when you'll be able to close for an appointment. I remember there was a couple I met at an open house, and they shared their contact information with me, and I kept sharing things out of value. So I was sharing out, I put them on a drip from the MLS. I was letting them know about things in the neighborhood, all these things, and I heard nothing from them. Does this resonate with anybody? You're sharing all this stuff. They gave you their info. They wanted to hear from you, nothing. And then all of a sudden, months down the road, you get this reach out and it's like, hey, I don't know if you remember us. We met you at an open house, but we're ready now. You're going to see that so often. And if you're staying in front of them and you're there and ready to reconnect, when the time is right or whatever it is, but it's only because I continue to reach out that they just responded to one of the times I reached out to them. Okay, so we can learn a lot about that there. Let us move over. So when asking for the appointment, which format do you think is most effective?
In person.
In person? I want an in-person appointment. 100%. Especially if it's a buyer, I would like them every day asking, oh yeah, in person, yes. Absolutely in person. That's why if we have a buyer consultation, I'm going to invite them into the market center. I'm going to reserve a conference room ahead of time. It also sets it up professionally. And also remember, it's that hierarchy of communication, right? That face-to-face is the most important one that we can get there. So really good. Oh, goodness. Here we go. I'm going to give you a second to read that from Gary Keller. In the end, if they can meet and have a good enough reason to meet, they will meet. And if they don't, they won't. And that's okay. You really don't care what their answer ultimately is because you're not getting people to do anything they don't want to do. You're just going to ask and respond until they agree that meeting with you either makes sense or it doesn't. Either way, you both win. Okay. Good old quote there from Shift. But I love that because it's basically, it kind of reconfirms that you're not asking anyone to do something they don't want to do. You're just trying to help them with what it is that they do want to do. Okay. All right. So let's look at improving your conversion rate. All right. So next we're going to look at ways to improve your conversion rates. So I want you to kind of take a look at this, and there is actually a page in your participant guide on this one as well. And this is, you've got a whole bunch of questions in there. Your conversion rate, hold on. I think this one is 11.11. That's calculating conversion rates. It's actually 11.12 is the slide that I've got up here. So it's looking at time blocking. That's a big one. Using systems and conversations, connecting with the database, and prioritizing qualified leads here. So time block for lead conversion, if you end up erasing it, you need to replace it. That is a big one. So if you are time blocking, and we all know life happens and we sometimes have to move stuff around, but if we are time blocking for lead generation, for example, or follow up, we need to have it there. And if we, for some reason it falls off the calendar, we need to pop it right back on there. Okay. How soon do you think we need to put time back on for a time block?
As soon as possible.
As soon as possible. Absolutely. If you're doing a 411, I don't know if you guys have covered that yet, but if you're doing a 411, which is kind of the weekly and the monthly game plan you have that links to your annual, your 135 or your GPS, that time blocking needs to be kind of included in there. Okay, so the next part there is using conversations and systems. This is all about practicing conversations. It's all about practicing dialogues, asking for the close, mastering the buyer and the seller consultations. I've just said a whole lot there. When we're talking about those dialogues, those buyer consultations, those listing consultations, that we need to practice as much as we can so we're as confident. It's all about building confidence and competence. Right? If that appointment is where we need to have the conversion, then we need to make sure we're as practiced and ready as possible. I want you to think about it like a toolbox. Okay. My job is to go in with as full of a toolbox as I can so that depending on what questions come or, different personality styles, I have the right tools to help my clients achieve their goals there. Okay. So we want to use systems, systems that are going to support lead generation and lead conversion in our business. So systems are going to really help us make sure we're taking the right steps and continue to kind of gain momentum in what we're doing. Okay, so I am going to bring us back to, we have the lead conversion model again. So if we kind of look at these steps here, one, we're going to capture the appropriate information to get a hold of the lead. We're going to connect with them to really assess what their needs are, cultivate the relationship, and then close by asking for the appointment. I would say these are the really big steps here. And what is really important as well is that you're going back and checking your numbers. If you're connecting and cultivating a relationship, but we're not getting the appointment, then maybe we need to take a step backwards and say, okay, am I doing absolutely everything I can do at this stage? We had some great answers before where if we're having the appointment and not converting, Maybe we're not showing our value. Maybe we're not asking the right questions. Maybe they're not qualified. We really need to, if we're getting stuck at a certain point, I've heard this for open houses so many times. I've heard people say, oh, open houses don't work. And I'm like, oh, they can. They can be amazing. You can change your life with open houses, but maybe we're having a lead conversion issue, or maybe we're having a problem where we're not asking people to sign in, or we're having a problem with ... So it's really important if we're getting stuck to take one step back and ask us kind of what's going here. And I will say, number 4, this is the one thing so many agents miss off the list. They forget to close and ask for the appointment. They ask a whole lot of questions and then just leave it as, well, if you have any questions, let me know. It's so important to close and ask for the appointment. Who has a good dialogue for how they would actually ask for an appointment? What's a great way that you would ask for it? Or just close for the conversation?
All that being said.
I love that. Okay, but let's finish that sentence. I love that. All that being said, what would you add? Bernice, you are on the right track. All that being said, what would you add to it?
Shoot, I didn't even realize I was unmuted.
Well, you were on the right track, so we're
my
gonna roll with
goodness.
it. I'm gonna work with it. So they're going through stuff, and you might even say something like, great, our next step is, great, sounds like our next step is to meet up so we can go through this in more details. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw out an either or an or comment statement or question, really. Do you prefer evenings or, afternoons or evenings? I'm not just going to say, when are you free? Because think about it. If you call up a doctor or a lawyer and they just say, come on in anytime, I'm free, come in, that's a little concerning and worrying, isn't it? So we want to try and give them the either ors rather than just the wide open. We're going to go an either or. So we could say something along those lines. Great. Sounds like our next step is to meet up in person, and we can go through more specific details. Do you prefer mornings or afternoons? Mornings? Perfect. I have Tuesday at 9 available. I also have Thursday at 11. Which does that, but which of those two works better for you? Like, keep pinning it down, okay? But we need to ask for that appointment. And if they're not sure, I always say, well, let's pencil it in for now. I'll send you a Google Calendar invite and I'll send you a text to remind you. And if that time doesn't work, let me know. But the way I look at it is we're either writing a contract or we're making an appointment for the next time we're going to meet. Okay, just a couple thoughts there. Any ahas, my friends? Any ahas? Any thoughts? Questions? We're gonna go for one. I just need one aha.
Yeah, just the last one, the way of closing and to ask for appointment. Yeah, I think is great.
Good. So, and honestly, I guide them there. It's an assumptive close, right? At that point, great. Our next step was it's not even saying, would you like to meet with? Great. Our next step is to, meet at the office. And then we just literally go through those next steps. Which works better for you, afternoons or evenings? Perfect. And now I'm going to give them another either or until we get it. Pencil it if you have to, but it's a great way to keep things moving along. Okay. So we just talked through our ahas. Success system. So we've talked about this one before. So I'm just going to leave it as a reminder. You've got this in your books there. So you guys could actually print them out from your participant guide. You can actually print them out. And if that helps you to have those checklists there ready to go, this is a great system to keep following. So I know we've gone into it a lot already, so I'm going to move along. Obviously, we want to make sure we're doing everything in a TCPA friendly, compliant way. And if I haven't told you at least that twice tonight, I'd have been in trouble. So there we go. Make sure every time you're reaching out, it's in a TCPA friendly and compliant manner. Okay. And again, this is a great one. I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution. People are happy to be in a relationship with me. Okay. Okay. So there we are. It just looped us back through. Okay, we have actually gotten through a little bit quicker. I'm actually going to back us up one. So as we are looking at how we are following up with folks, I'm gonna actually bring you guys back here. Oop, sorry. I'm gonna bring you back to the AHA. There we go. As we are looking at your lead generation follow-up and ensuring that we're keeping those leads, I want to kind of think about the whole evening here. What have you done, or what can you do? What are you going to do differently in your business tomorrow to make sure that your lead generation follow-up is continuing to get stronger? I want to get at least 4 or 5 different ahas here. What are you going to do, and what have you learned tonight, or what have we discussed tonight that has made you think, you know what, I need to actually go and consider something. I need to go and do this. This is what I need to implement. What's something that you're going to do now is a direct result of something we've looked through this evening?
Yeah, always ask for referral. Don't know.
Ask for the referral.
Hmm.
All right, David, let's hear it one
Okay.
more time. Hold on, I'm going to pause real quick. David, ask, how do we get that a referral? I think it was David. Where's David? Is David
Yeah,
still
it's,
there?
it's me right. Yeah, I'm still here.
There he is.
Yeah, no, I just always ask. I'm just like, well, hey, I am in real estate, so just if you know anybody that needs to that wants to purchase a home, I would definitely love to be a resource for them.
Perfect. Perfect. I love that.
Mhm.
Okay, good. What's another win? Or another aha?
I'm gonna go study smart plans more.
Yes, dig in. Go to the library. There are a ton. But the other thing I will add on the smart plans, make sure you read them through fully, because if another agent has published them out there, then you need to go make sure that it now says your name and your market center and all of your info. I've seen people do that. They sent me one. They're like, hey, what do you think? And I'm like, I didn't know we changed our name. And they had no idea what I meant. So always send it to yourself.
Oh.
I love that. Good examples. All right. Any other ahas? What are you going to change? What are you going to embed in your business? What are you going to do next?
Assume the appointment. I have a bad habit of, giving them information and taking their information, and just say, if you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out, rather than just trying to set the appointment right there.
Good. I love that. Set the appointment. And I think that starts by having a goal in mind at the start of the call. But at the end of the call, my goal is to have set the appointment for the next time. Okay. That's awesome. Let's get another 1 or 2 out there. What's another aha that we have? Role play every day. I like that. Reach out just because. Love that. Step up your time blocking. Very good. Katie, you've got a hand up. Go for it, Katie.
Yes. I actually came up with a new strategy that I'm going to try in the next 2 weeks, and my goal is to get an appointment with someone at my community garden.
I love that.
So I am going to keep going, and that is a goal. I've got a lot of other goals, but that is the goal that I want. So I actually plant my own herbs like cilantro, and I just got done harvesting like over 400 seeds. So I'm going to bag them up with my business card, and I'm going to pass them out to people at the community garden. And my goal is to get at least 1 appointment in the next 2 weeks with someone there.
I love that. What can you do to help keep yourself accountable for that?
I'm going to put it on my whiteboard.
Put it on the whiteboard. Awesome.
Yes.
I would tell somebody else as well what you're going to do. If we have to tell somebody what we're going to do, that helps keep us accountable as well. I love that.
Well, I got Amy on here, so I'll
Perfect.
keep her updated on it.
Good. Good. I love that. Anybody else, something that you're going to change or do differently, or that you're going to make sure that you do now as a result of anything that we've talked about tonight?
More note cards.
Oh, good. I love that. More note cards. Good. We've got a visual aid there. Awesome. Does anybody have any leads that they have kind of been remiss to follow up with, and now they're realizing they need to kind of go back and reconnect? Anybody there? Oh, I'm seeing some nervous faces. We may have a couple. There's a couple people there. So you're like, yeah, I kind of need to do that. We absolutely do. Okay. If anybody here was at Family Reunion, Mel Robbins was up on stage. She was one of our keynote speakers. She was amazing and was talking about her 5-second rule. It's a great book if you haven't read it, but she was all about action helps us get through fear. Right? So one of the things she can say is 5, 4, 3, and it has to go countdown, can't count up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. If there's something that we know we have to do, we didn't want to do it. Oh, I need to follow up with this person. I put it off so far. Trust me, putting it off longer is not the answer. We just need to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and go. What you're actually doing is you're telling your nervous system it's okay. Don't be scared. Let's get away from the fear. And it actually helps you kind of move through it. So if you're kind of resisting that, try that. If there's something, I've seen people do it for like, I really need to get out of bed without hitting the snooze button 5 times. All right, I'm getting up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Try it just to help propel yourself a little bit more. I absolutely love that. Very cool. Any other takeaways in the evening or ahas? You've had some really great ones. Just wants to make sure I got everybody. Okay. All right, let me jump through. That's preparing for the next one. We've done the ahas. The last thing I have here is just the eval. If you guys have a moment, it's the kwueval.com. And you go ahead and pop your region in there. This is virtual. I think you've been asked to do these probably after each one. So if you have just a moment here, we are wrapping just a little bit early. Over there, you'll say, oh, not Matt Verdon. My name's Nicole Griffin. So you can write that one in there. Just any feedback you have from the evening. So there you go. If you liked the session, we'd love to have, well, even if you didn't, we'd love the feedback as well. But we would love to hear anything that you have. Any thoughts you had there. It's been an absolute pleasure seeing you all today. What I look forward to is jumping in towards the end of your Ignite and seeing how everybody has grown and their businesses are starting to bloom and thrive. And I think there's a lot of potential with this group. I'm so excited for you and enjoy it. You've got a lot of good things coming in this industry and in real estate. So I'm excited for you.
Thank you.
Yes. So happy to stay on and answer any. Yes, happy to stay on and answer any questions you may have. Otherwise, we are all finished here for the evening. And I will see you all later. And I hope you have an incredible evening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nikki. It was great to see you.
Nice to see you all. Take care.
Thank you, Nikki.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed the program.
Oh, good. I'm glad you were here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a